So what we're going to look at now is the pledge and solution. Remember I said nobody wants an aspirin until they have a headache. So you wait until you've made sure you have made their headache into a migraine.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go, hey, have 2 ibuprofen or a couple of baby aspirin, whatever works. It will relieve their pain, suffering, worry, or contains that slam dunk, unpublished secret that could solve problems they hadn't even thought of yet. Now, the way you can roll both of those things into one coherent thing in your deck copy is to tell a story. Now, it's got to be a story that is immediate and speaks to people. So it can be a story about you if you're writing this in the first person. It can be a story about someone you know. If it's something where someone's done something that cost them everything or made a mistake or had a terrible accident, it's always best to either make it be about you, the writer, or whoever you're writing for, or a third party. Because you don't want, while you want that person to identify with that pain and think about their own pain and suffering, if you tell them that they have problems they don't have, you will lose them, right? And also, if it's something where they've made a mistake and you're going to point out how terrible that mistake was, then they're going to feel like they're dumb. And you're not going to sell anybody that you've just made to feel like they're stupid.
Yeah, and just
What
to
you
kind
want
of
to do is make them
rewind
feel
that.
like they're smart.
Sorry. Just
okay.
to rewind that a little bit backwards for a second, knowing that that's a pain point has to do with knowing who your prospects are. I was
Right
just
on.
writing a thing today, and I was reviewing a lot of notes and just talking about what your prospects need, what they want, what they desire, and what they're afraid of, what keeps them up late at night. You've got to do really good research to uncover that, and that'll tell you what the pain points are.
Yeah, and that leads into something that we do a lot of on the marketing end with scientific copy for our clients is market research. And there will come in future episodes, we will talk about how you find that market. We'll give you a little of that today, but it's pretty, I mean, we can get pretty complicated if we wanted to about how to find your market, how to break it down from what we call the looky-loos to the people who are genuinely interested in what you're selling. Perry Belcher has famously said, I don't want everybody. Forget that. I just want the people who are going to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so finding those people, not just finding the wide umbrella of everyone, finding the decision maker, and then finding the decision maker who actually wants what you're selling. That's the important thing. Okay. Anything you'd like to add there, Mark?
No, I'm going to speak a little bit more. You know, one of the reasons why the problem and the solution is so important is if you can imagine 2 Eagles supporters, because the Eagles just won the Super Bowl, didn't they?
They did.
Walk into a bar and they don't know one another, right? As soon as they start conversing with one another, they're going to immediately start assessing their depth of knowledge about that team. And as soon as they realize that they're both on the same page, you've got the beginning of a great conversation. So the person who can identify more with the problem than the next writer is the one who will probably, have the better result. And sometimes what we'll do is we'll look at a good place to look for that if it's an unusual niche or a niche that you're not familiar with is to look at Amazon reviews, find forums about that niche, and become a member and listen to the language, because they all have their own language as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the ways that you can identify each other is when you talk in abbreviations and in the language of that particular niche. They know that you are one of them. You can share that pain. So that trust, and we'll talk about this when it's my turn to go about that trust, how important that is for people to make a decision whether they should or shouldn't buy.
Yep. And one last little thing about that, and I don't know how familiar anybody on here is with Gary Bencivenga, but if you haven't found the Bensavanga bullets online, or maybe taken advantage of his insanely expensive yet incredibly great program. One of the things that he famously discusses is you can't think like the fisherman. You got to think like the fish.
Mm-hmm.
The fish wants the shiny object. The fish is hungry. If you're the fisherman, you're thinking about, where do I go for the fish? That's market research.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're inhabiting the brain of the fish, it's all about getting the thing you need. So another nugget of wisdom. All right. So this is an idea of a pledge, okay? That you're going to get the secret that could double your money in the next 5 to 6 weeks, making an average of 2% a trade, nearly every trade. Now, obviously, this is for the financial market, okay? This is aimed toward people who trade stocks, options, bonds, currencies. There are products that we represent for certain clients. It's one of our biggest niches, actually, is finance, which, just so you know, is also one of the hardest niches in the world. Mark must be a little bit of a masochist, because he likes to get in there and just get beaten up and take them all down. And he's succeeded for a very, very long time with a number of financial clients. But it's a hard nut to crack, especially depending on your price point. And this is a claim that's really big. If you're a trader, saying that you could double your money, make 100% on your money in under 2 months, and make an average of 2% per trade, which, if you know anything about trading, 2% per trade, if you're starting on a $1,000 account and you use the power of compounding, would literally, if you left your money in and kept doing what you needed to do, would potentially get you to like 1.2 million, just under 1.2 million.
1.27, I think it is.
Yeah, 1.27 or 1.19, I forget, but it's in just a little over 2 years. So if you know trading, you know all that. So we're speaking their language, that 2% to trade nearly every trade, doubling their money. The amazing thing is that in one particular segment of the market, it's not that crazy a claim, but it's a pretty big one. And when you make a claim like that, the thing you have to be able to do is pay it off. So the promise, if you're going to make a promise, you have got to prove immediately after you make it that you can pay it off.